right, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing okay. Welcome. Today is Tuesday. No, today's not Tuesday. Today's Thursday. Thursday, May 14th, 2020. Today we're going to talk about the whole Flynn ordeal, the $3 trillion stimulus that was released, the paperwork that's been released, the reopenings, and how no one can seem to agree. And then we have the ordeal with the Thai shopping malls and the Thai schools. There's a lot going on, a lot more than usual. But then again, this is the new age, and information overload is the new norm. It's one of the new norms. So, anyway, before we get into this, the following stream and all the videos on this channel are brought to you by the premium members of my website, Patreon patrons, and all your purchases and contributions. Purchases that would be mugs and t-shirts and also books, my books. I got 2 books. One of them is they're both in ebooks and printed book, but They Call Me Farang is an audio book also, so check it out. You want to buy any of that stuff, just go down into the description or go to anamericaninbangkok.com. And thank you very much for watching and supporting the channel. Today's shout out goes out to Carlos. Haven't heard from him in a little while. Hope he's doing all right. He was on the mend a while back. And I hear from him periodically, but hopefully he's doing all right. Same with Mr. Mitch. Haven't heard from him in a while. Hopefully he's on the mend and getting better. So let's take a look here. We got the Flynn, we got the $3 trillion stimulus, we got the reopenings. No one can agree on these reopenings. And I don't quite get it. It's like, make a decision. Stop pawning it off on all to the states, in the United States. Make the decisions. Make a firm decision. Be a leader. Make a decision. Boom, get it done. And live with your decision. Or die with the decision. Whatever it might be. But at this point, it seems like everything's a bit of a mess. And this is not only the United States, and I'm not trying to bash Trump at all, because that's not what I'm about. I don't think you should bash him. He's doing what he can. He may not make the best decisions sometimes, but then again, sometimes he does make good decisions. So, but my faith in mankind, and especially those who govern us, and in us, I mean the world. My faith has dropped to an all-time low. Seriously, I really have very little faith in mankind now. Now, I could mope about it. I could get depressed about it. And it is depressing when you think about it. But you can't let it affect you. And you just have to move on. And, there's a lot of good things going on. And there is, the world is beautiful, but it's very chaotic and ugly in many ways. So you just have to kind of focus on doing what you have to do and dealing with as little of the drama as possible. And, it really makes no sense to dwell on this virus and the agenda-driven mainstream media, the political corruption and greed. But it does pay to talk about it, and I don't mean pay as in financially, but I think it's important to discuss these issues and to debate them and just kind of hash things out. If the United States fails to solve this coronavirus problem quickly, and not only the United States, the world, And by problem, I mean medical and economic. I think in the United States, you're going to see the implosion of the country. I really do believe that. I think if we keep going the way that we're going, civil war is a possibility. Rioting in the streets is a very real possibility. And of course, the communists, and by the communists, I'm talking to my favorite, least favorite group in the world, the CCP. They're going to love it because they're going to swoop in like a bald eagle. And that's exactly what they want. Maybe that's why they closed their country off to this and opened it up left it open so that people could go and go spread your seed, spread the virus. Uh, yeah, I think a lot of us are going to need therapy after this. I've heard that this will take years off our lives. That's not a good thing, especially if you're young. We got the $3 trillion stimulus package, and Republicans have already stated that this bill is DOA and has absolutely no chance of passing, at least in its current form. Of course, Nancy, the out of touch. That's the only way I know how to describe her. Completely out of touch. She's countered. Nancy Pelosi has countered and said that this is a negotiation. But my question for her, and my question in general, is why has she kept the House out of session for so long? The Senate is the Senate is there, and the House was supposed to return on May 4th. May 4th has come and gone, and I don't get her motives, and this is exactly what I mean. I don't think that it's because she believes that everybody is going to be in dire straits if they go into Washington. I don't think that that's her motive. I don't think she really cares. I think she cares about herself and eating her boutique ice cream, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, if you looked at her freezer, she must have had 50 of those things sitting there. It's like, how much ice cream can you eat? What are you doing? Every time somebody comes over, instead of giving them a glass of wine, you give them a bowl of ice cream? Are you that proud of that ice cream and your freezers? Listen, she's elderly. If you listen to her speak, she is clearly not all there. She has problems speaking. Listen, I have problems speaking sometimes. And compared to how I was when I was younger, I know that I don't think as quickly as I used to. And I've never been the most quick-thinking person. I have to sit down and evaluate things and think exactly what I want to say. That's how I'm wired, I guess. But she stumbles, kind of almost like Sleazy Joe. She stumbles just like he does. She really has a hard time. And if you listen to her, you'll see exactly what I mean. Now we find out, speaking of Sleazy Joe, now we find out that there's a very real chance presidential candidate Joe Biden and even former President Obama illegally directed the unmasking, which really you don't need to say illegally, but directed the unmasking of General Michael Flynn. And now the time to ask, what is the world coming to, is over. Now is the time to act. Right now, to me, it seems that these people need to be held accountable and not let off the hook like so many others have been before. One that comes to mind is Hillary Clinton, another one of my least favorite people. Who knows how much she and her husband have gotten away with. But I dare say that they want to get away with this, and they expect to get away with this. I guess you could have a bowl of ice cream, or you can have a glass of wine with your meal, and then you have some ice cream afterwards. I try to stay away from ice cream because I like it too much. Listen, even when I used to train and I used to compete in karate tournaments and fight and all these other kind of things that I was doing when I was, young, I would still come home once in a while and I go, you know what? I want some Haagen-Dazs cookies and cream. I'd eat the whole pint. It didn't affect me. Now, uh, I eat a little bit of lettuce and I gain like 2 kilos. That's what it seems like. But there won't be any beer floats for me. However, I have to admit that the way that the government here in Thailand has dealt with this alcohol, with the prohibition and the whether temporary or permanent, seems temporary now, thankfully. But I'm not a big drinker, as I've said many, many times. But now every time I go to the grocery, I pick up 1 or 2 beers, even if it's like I'm going to get a San Miguel, which is cheap here. I mean, it's relatively inexpensive. I think it's 39 baht at the grocery for a small bottle. And I'll pick up 1 or 2 of them just to make sure that I have a refrigerator full of beer, so that if the time comes when I'm like, you know what, tonight's the night I need to have a few beers, then I have them. Because they could actually shut down the places that sell alcohol, and people are without alcohol for months. Now, and I don't really think that they care about the fact that people want to drink. I think what's more important is trying to keep people from gathering and so they can stay healthy and free from this virus. Now, if you've been watching the media, you've seen that and what's going on. I gotta say that I'm disappointed in the mainstream media once again. And of course, as I said, I'm trying to not allow these things to bother me. But not one thing on CNN, Reuters, or the AP News. I don't even know about BBC. I haven't checked. But let me take a quick look here. But not one piece on what's going on with General Flynn and what's happening in the White House. Let's see here. And on the BBC, I don't see anything, but then that could be because, let's see here. Yeah. Who knows why. And this is kind of disturbing. It's disturbing because you have these individuals taking part in what could be construed as illegal, corrupt, improper, inappropriate, however you want to phrase it. And it seems to me that once again, the people in power are going to get away with it. And I don't think in this case, if then Vice President Biden knows about what was going on, or knew about what was going on trying to set up Michael Flynn. And the FBI did know, and so did Flynn and probably Obama and the Clapper. Remember the Clapper? I think it's time to get some answers and time to hold them accountable. And I think, Hillary Clinton should have been held accountable. If Trump has done anything inappropriate or illegal, he needs to be accountable. You can say whatever you want, but I mean, the bottom line is, what are laws for? Laws are to make sure that people live a certain way. And I find it disturbing that the media covers whatever they want to cover. They don't cover anything that the masses might want to, or they don't cover some of the things that the masses really want to understand. And I think it makes it more difficult. And then when you have them flat out lying about what's happening, it makes it even more difficult. So let me see. So, oops, shit. Let's see here. There is no accountability, very little, unless you're somebody who they want to set up to be railroaded, you know. And then that's a different story. So, this is a guy, and of course, today Trump was on with some other people, I think in North Dakota. He was doing a press conference. And he was talking about how he spoke with a couple of people in the military who know General Flynn very well, and they said that he was a stellar human being. He was somebody that was, they couldn't believe everything that has been done to him. And now, obviously this is from one side, but I'm looking at CNN's website, and I don't see not a single thing. And I think that if you're, here's the problem. What are you going to do? Tell the news what they can and cannot report? Because then you may be infringing on their freedoms. But then what do? You let them get away with everything they say? I mean, you look on CNN's page, and you see a number of articles where next to it it'll say opinion or analysis, but there are quite a few others that they just take whatever liberties they want, and frame the article to however they want to frame it. And that's not really what journalism should be about, and it's not, I don't think, what the people really need. Now, who am I to say what they need or what they want? I'm just saying, if you want to make an informed decision, then give accurate information. Here it is, right? Russell Crowe's thriller gets theater release. Okay, that is in the entertainment section, but how important really is that? How does Bollywood use this offensive practice in movies? Here's the other thing, and I've been wanting to say this for a while, and I think people know exactly what I'm talking about. But this whole, you can say this, you can't say that, it's gotten to the point where it's toxic. It's more toxic than saying what you're not supposed to say. Because now, it's like, with me, I don't even know. If I went to the United States, I'd be like, huh? I don't know what you're talking about. What's going to happen? I go into a place, and I'm in conversation with somebody, and I just kind of say something, and somebody overhears me, and they go, you can't say that. And I go, what are you talking about, man? And the guy gets aggressive, and then I'm like, tripping out on the guy, and we get into an altercation, and then I get thrown in jail because of what I said. What kind of nonsense is that? Especially, you're supposed to know the laws of the land, but when you got to know, like, things like genders, I don't even know the genders. All I know is male, female, and transgender. I don't know all this other stuff. I don't know all these other phrases, and I have no idea. I'm completely out of the loop. So assume that I went back to the United States and started living there. I'm going to have to learn all these things. I don't want to learn them. I'm fine with my world. I don't have a problem with people. I don't deal with people, and generally I don't offend them. So why would I offend somebody else? I mean, I do my best not to offend people. That's how I live my life. I mean, I'm going to say what I want to say, but it's not intentional to try to offend. I don't try to offend the left, but I don't agree with a lot of what they stand for. Now, I just read this here on CNN. Of course, this is big news right here. Verana van der Leur, The star gymnast who reinvented herself as a porn actress. We're going to have to get into this. This was not planned or anything like that. The simple act of cartwheeling at the age of 5 begins Verona van der Leer's story, a childhood passion, which in turn led to a desire to be an Olympic gymnast. In the intervening 3 decades, she became a Dutch national treasure known for her sporting prowess. Oh, wow. But injury curtailed her career and her life spiraled out of control, locked out of the family home. She says she spent 2 years homeless and endured a fractious legal battle with her father. Things got even worse when she was in prison, convicted of blackmail in 2011. She says she came within seconds of stepping in front of a train to end her life. She says redemption came working as a porn actress, and now at age 34, van der Leer has penned her autobiography, laying out the details of her life. She says she actually has no regrets because she was living on the streets, and I would still do it again, so I don't have any regrets. Not the way I did it, no. So she didn't get to the Olympics. She had dreams of being in the Olympics. And so she was a star gymnast. Yes, okay, I understand that. All right, so why is this big news for CNN? It's on their front page. It's on the front page of their website. You know why? Because somebody like me will read it. Now this is sport. This isn't under sport. But let's look at all right, here we go. Let's see here. Oh, celebs are embracing their gray, ditching makeup and dyeing their own hair. Okay, that's lovely. Like I really care about that. Speaking of gray hair, I don't know if anybody has seen Mike Tyson in the training. And he does look very good, but, he's 53 years old. And I guess he really does plan on fighting. Now, I don't know if it's an exhibition or against some lower-tiered fighters. I still think he would get smashed if he fought a top-tier fighter because, like, Kevin McBride was not a very good fighter, and he got beat by him. And granted, things were a little bit different. His motivations might have been different. He may have held up quite well now. I don't know. But I don't think it's a good idea unless he fights some low-tiered fighter and he knocks him out, fights 2 or 3 fights and says that's it. He's not George Foreman. He relies on speed. And so, I don't see it happening. I hope he doesn't fight, try to get, some kind of a title shot or something. I really hope that doesn't happen. But let's move on here. Yeah, the $3 trillion stimulus package. How wonderful is that? And you wonder why I bash the left. I bash Nancy. We're not even talking about AOC, who she got kicked out of some organization. I don't have the information in front of me, but she got kicked out of it, and apparently it affects her. It affects her when it comes to the people voting for her the next time. But this stimulus, let's get into this stimulus. Let me see. I got to put my glasses on because I can't read without my glasses. Well, you know what really bothers me about this stimulus package is that Nancy Pelosi openly states that this package is strictly related to the coronavirus. And then you find out, let's see here, let me see if I can find this information here. She's talking about, it's the HEROES Act. Let's see if I can get some correct info. I'd like to go and read the whole 1,800 pages, but guess what? I'm not going to. Just give me the buzz points, the highlights, and that'll be good. The HEROES Act would create a new recovery rebate similar to the ones in the CARE Act, albeit a slightly larger check for those with dependents. $1,200, $2,400 in the case of a joint return, plus $1,200 per dependent with a maximum of 2. Okay, I don't have a problem with that, although I do think that all this spending, like I've said before, listen, I mean, hey, they want to hand out the money, let them do it, whatever. People need the money. People do need money. And I don't think a monthly check of $2,000 is the best way of going about doing it. I think a one-time, fee, a one-time charge rather, or a one-time check, excuse me, I think that's the way to go, because then people have a motivation to get back to work. The problem is you can't want them to have a motivation to go back to work and then keep everything locked down. The income limits, blah, 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 single filers 75 Gs, joint filers 150, head of household 112, 500. Let's go on here. Okay. Let's see if this is, I'm looking at a Forbes article here. And there is a temporary moratorium on evictions in a section titled Protecting Renters and Homeowners from Evictions and Foreclosures. The HEROES Act would put a moratorium on eviction filings for 12 months. The protection would extend to repossessions as well, to cover recreational or motor vehicles used as a dwelling. So the problem with that, obviously, is that what about the people who are doing the renting? What about the banks? What about the people who sold the car and they expect to be paid, or whatever the motor vehicle whatever vehicle it might be, recreational or otherwise? Excuse me. It's the protection would extend to repossessions as well, to cover any recreational or motor vehicles used as a dwelling. So that's the important thing. So it's not just, hey, I don't have to pay my car payment. That would be too much. All right, let's see here. Okay, of course they want to increase the pay of essential, the pay up to $12 an hour for the next 3 months. That's for essential workers, but they're still leaving out something that really bugs me. The bill has limits for highly compensated and non-highly compensated employees, but this would be a big boon for many workers who have been out on the front lines during the pandemic. So those people who are out and about helping essential workers, essentially essential workers, would benefit from this. But forgive the student loan debt. Okay, so what about, of course, this is a huge, the bill contains a lot of other aspects that Republicans might not be amenable to. Yeah, they left out the one thing in here. They left out one thing on Forbes that is extremely important, and that's the illegal immigrants. And that really is something that we need to take a look at. So let's see here. Fortunately, I have something to look at here. Make undocumented immigrants a priority in the next coronavirus stimulus bill, New York advocates tell Schumer. Of course they do. When was this? Yeah, May 11th. Advocates are calling on Senator Chuck Schumer to ensure that undocumented immigrants are not left behind as Congress weighs another federal coronavirus stimulus bill. Well, they've already done it, so this is it's past tense now. The New York Immigration Coalition launched an ad blitz Monday targeting the New York Democrat and urging lawmakers in Washington to take action to help immigrants who have so far been excluded as a pandemic wreaked havoc on the economy. New York's immigrant workers are essential in every sense of the word, risking their lives to pick, cook, and deliver our food, deep clean our hospitals and offices, and more. With President Trump continuing to scapegoat immigrants, we need all of our elected officials, federal, state, and local, to fight for every single New Yorker and make sure no one gets left behind. Right, so who's going to pay for this? The people who are paying taxes. So if they're an illegal immigrant and they're paying taxes, then you got to figure something out. And I said this before. They need to put them on some temporary work pass or work permit or whatever. But somebody has to pay for this. And why shouldn't they? If they're going to collect anything, they have to pay. And I know somehow they manage to pay, but many of them do not. And this is the problem. There's a reason why it's called illegal. And I've said this a million times. Don't put the word illegal in it, and it's a completely different matter. Schumer has little control over the upcoming coronavirus packages being put together by House Democrats, and Republicans control the Senate. Nancy Pelosi is slated to announce the parameters of the bill, which is will be in the $3 trillion range as early as Tuesday. Okay, well, this is done. Let's see. You know, it's so funny, but it is in there where the illegal immigrants are given money. No, it's illegal immigrants as well. Let me see if I can find this. And Nancy Pelosi, I don't know what she's thinking. Let's see here. Yeah, what you need to know. Now, I thought I had this saved somewhere. Let's see here. Okay. Republicans are, it says this is on CNBC, it says House Democrats released their latest corona relief bill as they try to blunt the pandemic's effect on the economy. I don't see that they've done a whole hell of a lot aside from fighting with the Republicans, but the chamber plans to vote on the legislation, which includes relief for state and local governments, direct payments, and hazard pay for essential workers on Friday. Republicans, who have downplayed the need for more immediate spending, are unlikely to approve the package in the Senate. Actually, what they've said, at least one person has said, this bill is DOA. They are not going to approve it in its current form. And the reason they're not going to approve it is because of one of the reasons is because of the illegal immigrants. Now, there is also something for the arts, for the arts. What am I trying to say? There is something in the package for that pay to those having to do with the arts. And the thing is don't say it's strictly coronavirus. If you want to talk about strictly coronavirus, hey, listen, all the people that are suffering from it, all the people in the medical field, those are the people who need money. Fund the virus, the vaccine, and all these other kind of things that are directly related, not paying out to the Kennedy Foundation. Well, I'm wondering, how are they going to vote? Are they going to vote? Are they going to come to Washington and vote, or are they going to do this virtually? I believe they're going to go to Washington. Let's see here. It includes more direct payments to Americans and continues the boost to unemployment insurance laid out by the previous rescue package. The top Republican in Congress is expressing a desire to hit pause on the legislation. Here they are. They want to have a committee to see how the Republicans, or to see how the money for the funds from the CARE Act is spent, and yet here they're coming up with a new one, the HEROES Act. Listen, we're going to give a bunch of cash to people who need it. I'd rather they just said that. Don't call it the HEROES Act. A hero is somebody who does something heroic. They're really contributing to the people who are doing things heroic. They're not only contributing to that. They do that to make it sound good. The massive stimulus package, nearly 1,800 pages of text, has $200 billion in hazard pay built into it for essential workers on the front line. So they get overtime and they get hazard pay. I don't necessarily think hazard pay is something that shouldn't be paid, because they are doing something hazardous. They're putting their lives on the line. I just don't know if the money is there, because the money's got to come from somewhere. Federal student loan forgiveness is also a highlight, along with cash injections for state and local governments. A $175 billion housing assistance fund has been added to help pay mortgages and rents, and what? And $75 billion in additional funding is set aside for virus testing. Okay, good. Additional help to pay employer-backed health coverage is included. Now, where is, you see, conveniently left out? Let's see here. I can't even get this information from the site. It's ridiculous. Does it say anything? Subsidies and Special Affordable Care Act enrollment period to people who lose their employer-sponsored health coverage. Okay. This is, you got military people who are fighting in a war, and they're getting just over $200 a month as hazard pay, and you got these people giving, God knows how much they're going to give. Democrats say rising COVID-19 infections and an unemployment rate unseen since the Great Depression require adding to an already unprecedented emergency government response. The new bill is set to cost more than $3 trillion, easily topping the $2 trillion cost of the late March stimulus package, the biggest emergency spending measure in history. It seems like the Democrats don't mind spending money, I'll tell you that. They don't mind at all. If it passes the House, the Democratic written plan will face roadblocks in the Senate. It is unclear when both Democrats and Republicans would sign off on a proposal for more relief, as the GOP downplays the need to spend more money as a rescue bill now. Let's see here. Yeah, you see, once again, they leave out about the illegal immigrants. So there it is there. Instead of giving a comprehensive look, they're not doing that. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I had an article saved. I don't know where it is here, but yeah. Let's see here. All right, here we go. Now, there is no guaranteed wage. You know, there was talk of this $2,000 a month for people, for Americans, and for illegal immigrants. Fortunately, that's not going to happen. I say fortunately, I mean, you know, of course, I'd love to have the money, but it's really bad for the country. Okay, so this bill is actually 1,737 pages. Now, there's a section of the bill that allows some illegal immigrants who are engaged in essential critical infrastructure labor. Damn it. Or services in the United States to be placed in a period of deferred action and authorized to work if they meet certain conditions. It also grants protection to those employers who hire illegal immigrants, stating that the hiring, employment, or continued employment of the defined group of illegal immigrants is not in violation of the Immigration and Nationality Act. The move was flagged by Deputy Homeland Security Secretary Ken Cuccinelli as a push by Democrats to grant amnesty to illegal immigrants and protect those who employ them. And that seems like what it is. I guess it depends on how they narrow down what is essential and what is not. Is it really a good idea not only to grant amnesty to illegal aliens, but to absolve employers who have been breaking the law in the last few months, he tweeted. I don't think so. These aliens wouldn't even have to apply for an employee authorization document or deferred action. They get it automatically. It is not the only part of the legislation that helps those in the country illegally. The legislation also expands the new round of stimulus checks to include those who file taxes, via an individual taxpayer identification number rather than just a Social Security number. Whew, I got problems this morning. This would allow those checks to go to illegal immigrants who are not eligible for Social Security and were therefore excluded from the last round of checks. Now, on the surface, I would love to just go, man, what are you paying these people for? They're illegal. However, one of the problems is that if they're illegal and they don't have work, and they don't have any, nobody's giving them any money, how are they going to survive? Maybe they're going to commit crimes. They're going to do what they have to do to survive. So I'm not sure what the right answer is, but I guess the right answer is you shouldn't have allowed them to come in illegally in the first place and then basically allowed them to do many things that they shouldn't have been allowed to do. And I understand that, that they help because they keep the cost down and all these other kind of things. You need to figure this out because this is a major, it's a kind of problem that it just goes, it snowballs. It's like a domino effect. If you do one thing, then another thing happens, then another thing happens, then another thing happens. One after another. Damn it. All right, so let me read some more about this here. Okay, we already know about this. The new round of legislation that's set for a vote in the House on Friday aims to change the shortcomings of the initial round of payments. Okay, here we go. Undocumented immigrants without a Social Security number can still file taxes with an individual taxpayer identification number, ITIN. These ITIN filers could receive the full $1,200 under the Democrats' new plan. ITIN filers are commonly undocumented immigrants. Legal immigrants working in the United States typically need to get Social Security numbers to get paid, just like American citizens. The IRS created the ITIN, a tax processing number, in 1996 as a way for individuals not eligible to receive benefits like Social Security to pay federal taxes on the wages they earn. Listen, I got to tell you, if I want to include my wife and do a joint filing, my wife doesn't have a Social Security number because she lives in Thailand and works in Thailand. The United States wants her to pay taxes on the money that she's earned. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Why would we do that? The benefits of undocumented immigrants filing federal taxes include getting access to economic supports such as the child tax credit and the refundable portion known as the additional tax credit, as well as showing they are complying with federal laws and have good moral character in the event Congress ever passes a pathway to citizenship. Jesus. Are you kidding me? They're undocumented. I understand you don't want to treat them, some of them are criminals, just like some people who are legal immigrants, some people who are legal citizens are criminals. Of course, you're going to have a percentage of people. Yeah, there are so many issues with this bill. Vote-in, mail-in voting. I mean, that's just. I don't mind when somebody like me. Guess what? I'm allowed to send my vote in by fax or by mail. I'm allowed to do that. That's what I did the last time. That's fine. I'm an American citizen. Okay? As long as I'm an American citizen and have the same rights as other Americans, I'm going to be able to vote, and I'm going to vote in a way that I should be able to vote. Whatever way, whether I'm in the United States and I'm voting at a poll or wherever I'm at. But for people to be able to just everybody to send in their vote by mail, I think is a bit ridiculous. And it's rife. Here they are complaining about the Russians being involved in the voting and how, it's so questionable. And then they're setting themselves up so that if they lose again, they can blame it on the system. But if they pass the system, then it's like, you guys passed the system, and now you're going to say, oh, well, it didn't work for us, so that, we got to do a recount. Exactly. Absentee voting is different. Expats voting is different. But if you are in the United States, there are different ways to vote, and mailing your vote in mass, I think, is not the way to do it. Especially, oh, wait a minute, we got problems with the post office. The post office is going to go out of business. Why is it that there's just one problem after another, after another, after another? You know why? Corruption, there's graft, too many people self-centered, agenda-driven. They're not thinking, and this is why you'll have a civil war. You'll have a civil war because the left is pissed off against the right. It's not going to be black and white this time. It's going to be left versus right. The different ideologies they're clashing already. If there is going to be any kind of a conflict, it's going to be between the left and right, more than what we have already. It's going to be between left and right. And it's not going to be pretty. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. I'm so flabbergasted. I was going to go for a walk this morning. And I thought to myself, do I want to go to Chinatown? Do I want to go to Khaosan Road and just, hey, show everybody what's happening here? And then I thought, no, it's a bit hot. And do I really want to go all the way down there and have to figure out, okay, if I'm taking the boat now, it takes much less than half as many people because there is social distancing. How about we just say, you got to stay apart. You got to stay 5 or 6 feet away from each other. No, it's now termed social distancing. There's all these, well, and that's why, I know people don't like it, but that's why I'm like, listen, you want to do something? Wipe out the CCP. Wipe them out. Figure out how to do it, the best way to do it, and wipe them out. Get them gone. Because they are a bacteria. They are the virus, the CCP virus. They're the real virus. And I watched that Bill Maher clip the other day where he's saying we can't sanitize the universe. And he's got it. The bottom line is it's Darwin, survival of the fittest. If you're going to die, you're going to die. If you're older and you're immune system compromised, then okay, you're going to have to have some additional practices put into place. You're going to have to follow them. And, the whole mask thing is a completely different issue. I know people that they just refuse to wear masks. They're like, no, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not going to wear one. And then you see people going into Walmart, and where was the guy, the place where somebody got their security, a Target. They were leading a couple of brothers out of Target, saying no mask, no entry. And the people turned around. One of the guys turned around, socked the guy in the face, and they got into a big skirmish. One of the Target employees got his arm broken. And now the two brothers are being charged with assault. And this is the kind of world we're living in now. It's not a pretty world anymore. To me, I have a hard time now. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't get depressed about this because guess what? If anything, I've got my cave. I got my man cave. I got my house here. We're fine. At least for now, we're fine. Right? We got food in the cupboard. We got a roof over our head. And that's about what you need to think. If you're healthy, you got a roof over your head. You got food on the table. And, you're going to have food on the table later tonight. Be thankful for that. And I am. And that's why, you know what? I know I can go out. And I know I'll be fine. In fact, probably what I'm going to do is Sunday, I'm going to probably go to the park. Not a big deal. But just to get out and, show what's going on, stay away from some people. And then maybe in another week or so, I'll go to like Chinatown or somewhere like this. Because I do think it's important to go out. I just don't particularly want to go out because it's so damn hot out. I don't know what it is right now. Excuse me. It is 90 degrees. 10% chance of rain, 70% humidity, feels like 104. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, okay? But I think it's important to go out because I think, listen, I don't want to get anybody sick, and I don't want anybody to get me sick. Civil war will never happen when people go back to work. They'll just be fine and complaining, and I believe that is true. I think, and I mean, I'll be honest, I am complaining. I'm complaining because I'm pissed off at the CCP, and now I'm pissed off that people can't agree. They just can't seem to come together. How difficult is it to understand that you're going to get sick at some point in your life? This kills very few people percentage-wise. And yesterday in Thailand, absolutely no cases reported. Now, that could be because of the amount of testing that's going on, which is not quite as much as maybe some people would like to see. And the other thing is that what are you going to do? You're going to live your life inside all of the time? We can't do this. We just cannot stay inside all of the time. You're going to have to go out. We're going to have to find a way. And I don't think that putting plexiglass up is the answer. Now, if you want to talk about what I believe is stupidity, I put a picture out from You Hunt, We Cook, the restaurant I go to or used to go to all the time. I don't go there anymore because Chef Cake is no longer there. And I won't go there, especially now. But they put up, okay, basically you have a counter, and then there are stools, and, like bar stools. There's 1, 2, 3, there's maybe 10 in a row. And then there's a little, on the other side there's 10 in a row, and then there's one side that has maybe 6. So what they did was they put up on the counter some plexiglass in between every 3 patrons. And they have a little sticker or whatever that says, you can sit here, can't sit here, sit here. So basically, you have a little section of three. Two people are allowed to sit there, not next to each other, right? Then you have another section of three and another section of three. Now, the problem I have with that is that the plexiglass, now look, I'm sitting at a table, right? The plexiglass comes to the end of the table. I'm sitting back here. So if I turn to somebody and they're right here, I'm only about 2 feet away from them. That's not social distancing. If you really want to be, you want to nitpick, that's not social distancing. If the plexiglass came out in between when I turned and the plexiglass was between me and the other person, that would be a different story. But it's not. So I think we're making all these assumptions and doing all these things, and I think they're like half measures. That's all they are. They're half measures. What we're doing is half measures. I go into 7-Eleven, and they basically stand there right in front of the door with hand sanitizer. You want to come in, you got to take your hands and put it under their hand sanitizer and clean your hands and have a mask on. Now, I don't mind having the mask on. And let me tell you something. I wash my hands. I've always washed my hands. I never have like dirt under my fingernails or anything like that. And if I do, when I go to take a shower, I clean them. I just don't think it's hygienic. And I used to work in a place where my hands were filthy. And every night I used to use this stuff, and I don't even remember what it's called, but it was green, and it had some grit in it, and I would scrub myself, because what I used to think is, what chick wants you touching them with a bunch of grubby, dirty fingers? They don't. You think they think you want, you think they want them touching you with those filthy fingers? No. So you got to be clean. Not only that, we know from history that being clean means less disease. This is all a charade. And I think in the beginning it was very important that we self-isolated, so that was a pause. Yeah, the lava, but there was a thing that used to come in these big metal tins that you would, you'd push a thing, and it was like a, industrial size, where I would push the little plunger down and you get a bunch of soap. I don't remember the name of it, but it was similar to lava. But it was good stuff. So, I have to fight with myself. I do it all the time. I'm like, do I really want to talk about this anymore? And I'm like, you know what? It is important we talk about it. Once I'm done, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to think about it. Because once you close the computer, if you're inside at least, and you're safe and you don't have the virus, there is no virus. There's no virus. You know what I mean? You're at home safe and sound, there is no virus. When you go out, you got to wear the mask. Now, I admit it's irritating. It's hot. It's irritating. It restricts airflow. It's not pleasant. And I think about living this way for years. My wife has told me that there are going to be more cutbacks in her industry and also in her company. Now, that's a little troubling. And she's out right now at a meeting that she's taking part in with a mask on. That's the only way they'll have a meeting. Social distancing, mask, but they have to do the meeting in person. Now, I don't like that particularly, but guess what? It's got to be done. Part of me, I'm conflicted. And I think that's how people are right now. They're conflicted. There are people going, I don't care. Okay. Then go sit next to somebody who's got the virus and see how much you care. I understand that people are worried or people are not worried. I understand there's different levels of concern. However, when it comes to someone in your family going out all the time. I know that she's very careful. I know that she, uh, uh, you know, she takes part in safe practices, yada, yada, yada. Okay. But when does it end? When does it end? Listen, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die. You know, this is what I'm talking about. If you're going to die, you're going to die. You're going to get it eventually. You know, we are just like ants. Joe Rogan says we're like monkeys, and we are. But we are just like ants. Now, some people only wear their mask when they go into a store. I think wearing your mask inside of a car is kind of foolish, especially if you're alone. If you're with your wife who you've been, you know, sleeping next to every night, why would you wear a mask? You both wear masks inside the car. And the testing, the problem with the testing is you take a test on Monday. Guess what? You could be exposed to the virus a few minutes later, and that test is worthless. So, all the testing in the world, it seems to me, okay, test and you have it, all right, I understand. But guess what? The vast majority of people don't have it. And only in pockets of places. Looking at, what was the place that, Wyoming? Wyoming, I think they're completely opened up. Swarfega, what is Swarfega? Swarfega is a hand cleaner. Now, this was something else. I don't remember what it was called, but I had some, and it was like lava. It could have been the industrial whatever. You see, the problem for me that I see is if I go out and I'm taking public transportation and I'm the only person without a mask on, I'm at risk. There's going to be pissed off people who don't understand that the chance of catching something or giving something to someone is relatively small, especially in a place that shows 0 cases of the virus. The mask is to protect other people, not you. But if you're wearing an N95 mask, which most Thais are not. Now, I was thinking of wearing the bandana out, but you know, you can't cover the bottom. But then again, you know, does it really matter? I don't know. So this is the reason why, you know what, I just go, listen, I'm going to abide by society's norms. Just to be safe. Better safe than sorry. I don't know if they're correct, if they're medically sound. I don't know. And I don't think that the doctors actually know. I don't think Fauci knows. I think Trump said that he was disappointed with Fauci's comment that you know, there is a high risk of this, another wave of this. Another wave. This, you know, this is going to go on for years. I got news for everybody. I said it before. This is 2020 is shot. Forget about it. It's not going to be anywhere near the same. It may take 2 or 3 years just to come anywhere near how things used to be. Zep Cleaner. That was the name of it. The thing with Bangkok is that, you know, I stand out like a sore thumb. You know, that's for sure. I stand out like a sore thumb. So if I don't have a mask on, then I run the risk of getting the holy hell beat out of me. You know, why would you subject yourself to that? And I don't want to hurt anybody else. So that's why I'm saying, you know, listen, you may not like to wear the mask, but if you are around other people, you need to wear the mask. It's as simple as that. And this is a big issue in the United States. You know, there's people out there, they act like, you know, that the people who are wearing the mask are stupid or whatever. And I don't think it's stupid. I think, there's a lot of fear. Yeah, it was Zepp hand cleaner. That's what it was. I don't know if they're still in business. But that stuff, it was, I used to use that all the time. This was a nasty old, it was a industrial strength hand cleaner. We're talking about huge tins of it that were on the wall, and they would just replace the tin. This is, And working, when I used to work with oil drums when I was a kid, I used to work in an oil drum factory in the summers and load up trucks. You used to get barrels in to be reconditioned that had Zepp cleaner in them, and then we would recondition them. They had the cleaner in them before, they were empty, so you just had some residue in there or whatever. But CCP virus will infect about 25% of the world, like the swine flu, over the next year or two, and it will become like the flu. I have used lava before also. But, getting back to this, the whole thing about the masks, I don't want to wear the mask. To be honest, I don't want to wear it. I hate them. Who does want to wear them? Who really wants to wear the mask? I don't think anybody does. And I certainly don't. But as long as it's the norm and I risk taking a beating by a bunch of pissed off Thai people, I'll wear it. And my kids wear the mask when they go out, which they don't go out very often. But, the other day they went for a walk with my wife at the park. They all wore masks. Everybody at the park had masks on. So guess what? If you're the only person not with a mask on, And the thing for me is if I'm not anywhere near people, if I'm 50 feet away from the nearest person or there's nobody around, why do I need to wear a mask? It's just floating around in the air and I'm gonna get sick? I don't think so. So I think that this is another issue, and this is, another, you got sides. People are taking sides. Wear the mask, don't wear the mask. I'm in the middle, as always. I'm always in the middle. Do I believe the doctors? I believe a little bit, but I don't believe all of it. I'm in the middle. It's just like the Seinfeld episode. What was this? What was it? I can't remember it all right now. But there was an episode where, he would throw. He always comes out even, something like that. It's pretty much that's pretty much me right now. I'm always in the middle somehow. I could see some decent things in the bill by the Democrats, but the vast majority of the stuff is garbage, and I don't see a chance in hell that it's going to pass. And, Nancy Pelosi saying, it's a negotiation. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a negotiation. Listen, in the beginning, my wife was like, wear the mask in the house. And I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. I'm not wearing the mask in the house. So then she was like, oh, I guess it is. And I had to tell her, listen to yourself. And then she was like, okay. Took her about 3 seconds and she realized that, I was like, wake up. It's a crazy, crazy world. And, I'm tired of saying that. I'm tired of saying, what is this world coming to? What I'd like to see is some sound action. That's what I'd like to see. Action, action, action. Make the decision. Be confident in your decision. Make it, it's like, should I stay or should I go? Should I break up with her or should I stay? And you sit there going, well, I don't know. And then you sit around for another 5 years before you know it, you're like, no, don't do that. Go, you know what? She is a nut job. I'm out of here. Boom, you're gone. That's what you do. You make a decision. Make the decision. You know. I don't know that. I mean, that's one thing. Say what you will about Trump. You know, he does make decisions. The problem is he's often backtracking. Oh, I just opened my Google Gmail, which I don't use a whole lot, but Google Meet now in Gmail. Video meetings with live captioning and screen sharing for up to 100 people. I'm going to have to check that out. I'm not fond of Zoom, but then again, Google has their little tentacles everywhere, so you know that they are in China. You know, now on YouTube, I cannot play anything. That's about how it is. Because I don't know what is allowed, what's not. And, you know, I see all these people with albums on and stuff like that, and you got concerts. And I understand. I don't believe those channels are monetized. They have very little to lose. So that's why I don't play the stuff. You know, it's just like if you listen to Joe Rogan, he'll be going, oh, no, you can't show that. You know, he says it all the time. He'll try to show some video clip or play some musical piece or something, and he won't. He never does. And there's a reason why. Because YouTube has got, this is the other thing. It's like everywhere you go, you got rules and regulations and laws. You can't do this, you can't do that. Oh, Jesus. It's like you're a bunch of little kids. We're living in it's not a nanny state. It's a big daddy state. You got Big Daddy standing over, what was the name of that? Walking Tall. He's got the big Walking Tall stick in his hand. Looking over you going, hey, what are you doing? You can't do that. You can't do this. You move left, you're supposed to move right. That's how I feel like the world is right now. No matter what you do, you know, you're screwed. You know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Okay. Got a little email here. See if I can send that out. I don't know. I've got a picture of the You Hunt, We Cook. I don't know where that picture is, though. I got to find it. Anyway, where are we at here? Hour and 20 minutes. You know, I really would like to know, and I'd like some feedback. And I really would like the feedback. You can leave it afterwards. You know, I got the feedback from the video, my video thing that I put out saying my videos suck and all that, and I appreciate that. I don't always agree with everything. And some of the suggestions I got, I just have to shake my head. And there's a lot of people who have said to me I should do the Chowderhead videos again. You know, I've had more than one person want me to do a letter. And, you know, I don't need the one thing about the letter, if anybody sends me a letter, I don't need a whole bunch of preamble. Just send a letter. If you don't want any words, any people, any places in it, I don't have a problem with that. That's not a problem. I understand people don't want their real names used, but other than that, that's it. You know, I don't want any. You know, and let me know the purpose of why you're writing me. You know, what would you like me to do? Do you want me to give my opinion on it? Do you want advice? Do you want guide? What is it you want? And I don't have a problem with that at all. I just don't. I just want to make sure that if somebody writes me, that it's all authentic. You know, that's the only thing. But what I was going to say is, you know, I like doing this now. I like sitting at home. You know why? Because it's the highlight of my day when I'm streaming. You know. So I've been thinking about getting. They have a couple of these podcasting sets. You get everything you need. You get the microphone, you get the little thing that keeps the microphone from shaking, you get the screen, you get the mixer, you get this, you get that, you get everything. You get the headphones, and they're not that expensive. So I'm thinking about getting those because you see I'm wearing the headphone now. And what I've been thinking, I've been talking about it for a long time, is the podcasting. There's no reason why I can't do a live stream and then podcast the actual live stream. Kind of just like what Joe Rogan does. Okay? But I'm curious to know if I put stuff up on iTunes and Spotify, are there people here that would be like, okay, well, yeah, maybe if I can't get to watch the stream, I'll listen to the podcast. Because right now, the podcasts are up on my website, but I'm going to stop that at some point, Valuetainment had a video 5 days ago discussing a video of his that got pulled down by YouTube. He presented a good discussion, an interesting answer, and I did see that. I did watch that entire video, and yes, he has some good points about that, and that's the thing. And right now, it's like if you want to go into Target and they require you to wear a shirt, shoes, and a mask, guess what? If you go in there without those things, don't expect them to allow you to come in. It's that simple. And it's like when you come into my channel, I don't have a problem, with somebody from the left, somebody from the right, somebody from the middle. I don't have a problem with people speaking their mind. I may not agree with them. It may get a bit heated, but I don't have a problem with it. Just don't make it personal. I think once you do that, then it's just like, imagine that's why in politics, and that's why in Congress and in the UK and in Parliament and all these places, that's why people tend to be overly polite. Because they don't want to get into a bashing someone and how they look, whether they're ugly. Oh, she's so ugly. You ugly bitch. Can you imagine, somebody in Congress going, you fat, ugly pig. You shouldn't be talking about this. You're a whore. I mean, can you imagine that? I mean, really, we cannot allow ourselves to speak that way when you're discussing things. You can't do it. In debate, you just can't do it. And so, as long as people don't do that, I don't have a problem with it. Hey, debate is healthy. And the whole idea of debate is to come up with a better solution to whatever problem you're debating. Let's see here. Just get a good rated streaming set. Well, Marcus, I would not. This message is from Marcus. Probably costs around $400 to $600 for a mic stand, decent video light, mic volume mixer controller, and a good HD 4K webcam. I don't know how good the video is right now, but it is. It's not HD. I believe it's on my Mac. This is on my Mac. What is this thing? MacBook Pro. It's an older MacBook Pro, and I believe it's only 720. But I also use my phone, and no one seems to have a problem with that if I'm inside, and that's 4K or 1080. So you can get a whole setup, and it's really. I have plenty of like lav mics. I have a lot of those. I just don't have mics. The other thing is that I don't have mics with headphones that go with this laptop that are quality. I don't have one. Everything I got basically is a piece of crap. I got a bunch of old plastic ones. So this is my point, is that right now the quality is it's decent. I wouldn't call it great, but it's decent. The only problem is the mic and the headset, so I may have to try to get something like that and figure it out. And then if things go good, I'll figure something out and go on to a better set or whatever. Uh, so, we'll see. Some of what affects the video is your own internet, my internet, and how you have the thing set. Sometimes you have to refresh and then it'll be sharp. When I look at my video here, it's not all that sharp. But if I look at it on the OBS, then it's quite good. Now, the other thing is, I've considered StreamYard for quite some time. I've considered a few other ways of streaming, and one of which is through Vimeo. The only problem for me is I don't know that it's financially worth it to use Vimeo because they charge $75 a month and they want it paid up front. But there are a couple others. The Yeti mic, there's a Yeti package. It's a couple $100, and it's quite good. It comes with the Yeti and a screen, and yeah. Well, let me just. I don't want you getting turned on, Longhorns, because you can see my chest hair. There you go. But I'd really like to know if this is good enough. The stream is good enough with you can get the podcast off my website, or it would be better to have it on, say, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever, SoundCloud, which is where I hosted before. But I am considering it. I've been considering it for quite some time, but now I'm actually considering going and buying some stuff. And I'm also thinking about getting some kind of a system where when I go out, I don't have to bring my laptop, and I can still use like my phone or some other kind of software with my laptop or whatever that would allow me to travel and have a little setup. Now, one thing that I don't know, let me see here if I can bring this up here, but I was on this show a while back. It's called the Peter Greenberg Show. Okay? And it's really interesting. Now, this guy was with CBS for a long time. Okay? And what he does, he's a travel guy. Okay? And what he does is he travels around, and I guess he does his travel videos. Pretty smart. Very nice guy. But what he does is he travels around and does little videos for himself and maybe for CBS still. I don't know. He's worked with several different companies. But he came to Thailand, which I guess he has a place here in Thailand. And he did a radio show, and I was on it. He does radio shows wherever he goes, and he talks with people from those areas. I was one of, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Okay, I was on for about 10 minutes. But what he does is he goes in and he maybe he gets a deal with the hotels. I don't know how he works everything. He may get a deal with the hotel because of CBS, because of what he's doing, because of promoting their establishment. I don't know. But he brings a bunch of stuff with him. He's not doing, and by stuff I mean equipment. And it's not much. It's a mixer and, a couple of microphones. But what really got me is that he was able to take phone calls. And I wasn't sure how he was doing that in real time. But it was pretty cool that he travels around and he's got a little setup where he just brings the setup with him. And, he can do a podcast from anywhere in the world. And it's high quality. And, I thought that was pretty interesting. Let's see here. HD camera for the crispest video, yes. Rode mics to get all the exciting... okay. What about Twitch? Maybe that will pay better. No, Twitch doesn't have the following for live streams that YouTube has. And it certainly doesn't have the podcast following it's still basically a gamer's platform. I have an account on there, and I tried it for a month, and I didn't particularly like it. It's not really my speed. I just don't particularly like it, and I don't think most people go on Twitch unless they are. There's a reason why they're on, whether they're a gamer or some other reason, but there are better options. I am unfamiliar with those platforms. You're unfamiliar with Apple, iTunes, and Spotify. iHeart is a radio company. They own radio companies, but now they are doing things where people like Will Ferrell has a podcast where he's on. He's actually the anchor man. He plays the anchor man on a podcast. What were the other reporters using in Hong Kong for their live streams? Well, a lot of them were just using their phones, believe it or not. A couple of them were doing, they were higher end than I was, far higher end. What they do is they have this backpack. I forget what it's called off the top of my head, but they have a backpack and it's got the equipment inside of it, and then they put like 10 SIM cards in at the same time, and then they stream using the SIM cards that are they somehow are combined, and they give a much faster speed. And then that's how like news agencies, like CNN or Reuters or wherever, that's how they are able to broadcast from anywhere. Who's beyond help? He's beyond help. Oh, beyond help instead of beyond Trinity. Can't you picking you videographer friend's mind? He might be able to direct you in what equipment to look at. He's a videographer, and there is a difference between videography and live streaming and also podcasting. There's a big difference. So I'm kind of just navigating this my own way and figuring things out. I do know the equipment that I could get just to be stationary, and then maybe I could use some of that to because I would like to go to places and, hey, I'm here at this particular restaurant. I'm with so-and-so, and we're going to talk about this. I'd like to do that. We'd pick a subject and talk about it. I actually thought about contacting Jono and saying, hey, you want to go for a walk today? And we'll go walk down Sukhumvit somewhere. But, it's a little bit last minute, and I know he doesn't particularly like to be on camera, so that's why I didn't do it. I actually thought about doing it today, and I put up a thumbnail that said I was going to go out and about, and I didn't do it. So, anyway, I'll figure it out, but I'd appreciate any comments about it. Does it matter? Can I just use the audio from this live stream, and then that's the podcast, and going on my website is fine, because I know how many people go on my website. But the thing with iTunes and Spotify and SoundCloud is that they are huge platforms who have millions and millions of people on them, and that's where I'd like to be. Just like YouTube. YouTube has millions and millions of people, obviously. And they're all not interested in Thailand, and neither am I. I do have other interests besides Thailand. Thailand. So, Jono's stand-up is about like it was before, as far as I know. Which is sometimes, he gets lucky and gets a chuckle. And sometimes he doesn't. Speaking of chuckles, Bumgun Chuck, he used to be a radio guy. And so he's somebody that I've talked to about this before. Listen, nowadays there's millions and millions of things to watch and to listen to just think about it. There's part of me that just goes, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, I'm on live. I do a live stream on YouTube. What's the matter with that? That's fine. And you know, I'm starting to enjoy it more because I'm not just talking about Thailand. Now, speaking of Thailand, like I said, no cases in Thailand. Uh, none at all yesterday. Now, I don't know that that's completely accurate. Maybe it's, like I said, about the testing, but that's a good thing. And for those people who know, or who have been listening to, and who care, the mall was supposed to open on the 17th of this month. There was a statement that came out in the news that said the malls will be opening, shopping malls and department stores will be opening this Sunday. I don't know how accurate that is because originally it was June 15th, and there are rumblings about whether or not this is supposed to really happen, whether it's really true, who really stated this, is this coming from the government? And then I see this blurb that's going around about how it could be the owners of the shopping centers putting that information out to see how people feel about their opening up this soon, so they can push the government to open a month earlier. So it may not even be accurate. You know, I don't know what the current status of this is. One of the virus casualties are product shows, expos, camera, hi-fi, cars for the foreseeable future. Yeah, you know, my wife, she ordered a couple of little tables. I don't know, you know, what kind of quality they are. And I was like, you didn't buy them from Lazada, did you? And she's like, no. I got them from a company in Thailand. I'm like, well, then they probably came from China anyway. But hopefully we'll get those in the next couple of days. I could use an extra table because one of them is mine. She got the two of the same tables. And like I said, hopefully they're nice. But I am trying to expand a little bit. I'm not trying to be, Joe Rogan or anybody else like that. I'm trying to be me. I gotta be me. I gotta do me. But I do still want to go out and about and do all these kind of things. It's just a matter of time. I want to be safe. You know, and as far as I know, I don't think I've been infected with it, although I don't know, maybe I could have been, you know. Maybe I got I know that at times it seems like my immune system is not so great, but then there are times when I just think I'm strong as an ox, you know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel, you know. I had an opportunity to try and do a sports radio show, but had to say no. I probably would have sucked anyway. No, you probably would not have sucked. You probably would have been very good at it, because I know you do like sports. You're into sports. It's just a matter of, from as far as I know and from what I believe, I can't stand this. You're going to have to deal with the chest here. Once you get past the fact that you're talking to other people, the camera is really nothing. You're just in front of a piece of equipment. It's the knowing that you're speaking to a lot of people, or some people, a small number of people, whatever it is, sometimes can be a bit too much for people. But once you just get past that and you just go, screw it, then it's not that big of a deal. So I think you would have been good at it. If a traveler tests positive for having had the virus, might Thailand deny him entry? They might. I got tested today, Toronto, Canada. Okay. And? Oh, well, hey, where's Soy Dog? He got tested, and he hasn't come out with his results yet. I don't know if he's got them yet. I don't know if he's listening, just lurking. I don't know. Again, you know, the thing is, you get tested. By the time you get your test results, you've already gone places, done things, touched things. You could have it again. The nasal swab test, it was a drive-through. So how do you get the test results? from this place? And how long does it take? What do they email the results? You know, you got to come back and get them. They mail you the results. They call you. What do they do? And how long does it take? I think that's pretty important. I think what's better is the antibody test, although, you know, people are supposedly catching the virus more than once. So who knows? You know, this is what I mean. It's like, listen, we're gonna get to a point where, and we're already at the point now, where if you don't work and you don't go out, you're going to starve. Now, I did see something in the news in Thailand that said that there are foreigners worried who are out in Isan because some of the Isaners are starting to get really low on food and they're starting to worry about going hungry. And the foreigners are worried that maybe they're going to be attacked or robbed or whatever once the people get desperate. And nothing. It has nothing to do with nationality. It's more about, hey, when people are hungry, you know, and their kids are hungry, they're going to do just about anything. So it's not a good situation. Bloomberg today, go to Macau for one day. You are quarantined in Macau for 2 weeks when you get there, and then you're quarantined. What? And then you're quarantined for 2 weeks. If you go back to enter mainland China, providing you live there, well, who knows? It was for a Houston station, but my dad had cancer at the time, so I didn't think twice about saying no. Oh. Soy Dog Cowboy may know by now it was an antibodies test. Yeah, I think the antibodies test is better than just testing for the virus. You know, antigens, all this kind of stuff. I mean, you know, I wouldn't have thought anything about catching some virus, but now I guess there's a problem in Hong Kong with the rat virus, and that is becoming a little more troubling. Not a huge number of people, but they are having some problems, and they're worried about that here in Thailand as well. And there are a lot of rats in Thailand. And Klong Dui is a big place, but I can tell you, and one of these days I'm going to do it, and I'm a little apprehensive about it. But I'm going to go out at, like 3:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and shoot some video where on the corner of Happy Land 1 and Lot Prow Road, just where it goes right into the mall, there is an area on the corner where a lot of garbage is put for people to collect it, for the garbage company to collect it. And there are a huge number of rats. I mean, like, if they attacked you, they'd kill you. There are literally a couple hundred of them. Just right on that corner, they're all gathered, and if somebody throws something, they'd scatter. But I saw that one night, and I was like, holy, just crazy. So, they're out there. There's a lot of nasty things in the world. We want to live in a nice apartment or nice house that's very clean, and you never see a cockroach and you never see a mouse or a rat. But that's not how it is. They're out there. They're hiding. I'm not a virologist, though studied biology at college, but double infection within 2 years seems unlikely. Not recovering fully seems much more likely. That could be. It could be. Oh yeah, take a flamethrower. Take a flamethrower out there and burn up all the rats. Oof. Can you imagine? I'd have to be far enough away where the little critters didn't start running at me. Who likes rats? I guess Ben or Willard. But not me. Oof. Rats by Frank Herbert. What is that, a book? You know, I've been meaning to get some new books. I've got plenty of books. I moved some of the books from my shelf over to near my bed. And those are the books that I'm either reading or want to read in the near future. But I've got probably about 20 books over there. And I love to read. And I've been thinking about some books I want to, I want to get The Great Firewall about China. There's some other books that I don't remember off the top of my head that I want to get and I have saved. How many books can I get? You know, how many things can I read at once? There's only so much time in the day. The White House was using Abbott machine for all White House staff, guests, and visitors. It's not good if antibody testing uses the Abbott machine because it's been shown that it has about 50% accuracy. Yeah. Not good, of course, but what are you going to do? At the end of the day, you know, I think you have to be safe. And you have to understand that this is, we're in a battle against this virus. And it pays to do everything you can to annihilate it, which is wash your hands, be safe, don't touch your eyes and, you know, rub your eyes with dirty hands. Yeah, you know, Longhorns and I went down to Khao San Road when they were just getting ready to boot the vendors from the road during the day. They wanted the road there opened up, and they didn't want all the food vendors and other vendors out on the street all the time. And so, I don't remember, were we streaming that day? I think we might have been streaming. We were out together. We might have been streaming. And they were cleaning the roads, and they were also pulling up concrete blocks that basically covered the drainage and the sewer. They were pulling up these, they must have been about 3 foot by 2 foot blocks of concrete. They pulled it up, and as soon as they pulled it up, literally, it must have been what? I don't know, 100,000 cockroaches. Just thousands and thousands of them on top of each other, scampering everywhere. And we were like, ugh, not good. Good reason not to crawl through the drainage and sewage pipes right there. Between the rats and the cockroaches and the, you know, not to mention the poo. That can't be a good thing. But anyway, we're running out of time. The stream has run its course. If you have yet to subscribe, please do so. Make sure to click the bell so you get notified of when I'll be streaming or when a video will go up. Click like. Please click like, share, leave a comment, and by all means, let me know if you're interested in seeing the audio version of this stream on iTunes or Spotify or SoundCloud or wherever, one of these platforms, on a podcasting platform. They'd be on all of them to make it a little easier to listen to what's going on. You know, part of the issue is that this is interactive. Live streaming is interactive. Something like Joe Rogan's show is not interactive. He's basically recording the show and then putting it up on YouTube and then putting it out as a podcast. It's much different than interacting and having comments that you're reading from or acknowledging or whatever. So it is a little bit different. But that's why, like today, if you notice, I didn't really read any comments until towards the end of this stream, because there are ways to go about acknowledging people and talking about subjects without directly speaking to or reading the question. And you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much. You know, maybe I'm overthinking it. I don't know. But Let's see here. Rats by James Herbert, British horror author. Frank Herbert was a science fiction author. Oh, lovely. Yeah, the whole ground moved when those cockroaches came out. We were freaking out, man. We're like, no way, man. That's way too many. Are you considering doing nude video casts like Naked News? Beyond Trinity, do you really think I feel like looking at myself in a video window and looking at myself that I'm almost 60 years old? I really don't want to see my naked body in a video window, and I dare say no one else does. Okay? If I was maybe 20, okay, then, I can see it. Hey, I'm young, I got hair, I'm ripped, I'm tan, but no, I don't see that happening now or ever, whether the pay is high or low. What is this? Watchy TY love the recent streams. I don't understand what that means. Watch IET. Is it supposed to be Watch IETV? Watchy thank you? I don't understand. This is the other thing. It's very difficult for me to understand everybody how they. This new world, everybody's writing in acronyms and shorthand and all this stuff. Just write me. Just write me in proper English. That'd be good. Damn. Who said anything about pay? Hey, listen. If there's no pay involved, then guess what Scotty does? Whatever he wants. That's it. Which could be laying in bed. It could be going for a walk, but it does not entail doing something else. Watch Society, but what? I don't understand. Same as Watch Society, but together? I don't really get that. Sorry. What's the Watch Society? Never heard of it. Seriously, never heard of it. Oh, the watch. Okay, so that's a channel about watches. Okay, I gotcha. You haven't been wearing my watch lately because I don't want to know about the time. I really don't care about it. Doesn't make any difference what time it is. Because you know what? 1 minute it's 7 o'clock in the morning. The next minute I wake up and I go, oh, I took a little nap. Oh, it's 4:30 in the afternoon. Fell asleep for an hour, and then I'm doing something, and before I know it, the wife and I were up the other day, and we're laying in bed. She's looking at something. I'm looking at something online. We're talking a little bit, and then the next thing we know, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. We're like, what the hell? We didn't get to sleep until like 2:30. This whole thing is thrown off the schedule, the sleeping cycle. So, anyway, what are you going to do? So thank you again for watching. Thank you for all your contributions and all those good things. Really appreciate it. If you like what I'm doing and would like to support the channel, take a look at the description or head over to anamericaninbangkok.com/Scott. What is this? Daytime, it's hot. Nighttime, it's less hot. So far, the time. Yeah, that's about how it works. At least here in Thailand, it is miserably hot during the day. To the point where I gotta say, if I go out and I'm gonna go to like the ATM or just go to 7-Eleven to get some eggs or some bread or milk or something like that, if I go out and I take a song tout, now I put my mask on like a good little boy. I take the mask, put it on, get on the songtao, which they don't have as many songtaos. So you're standing outside your house waiting for the songtao to come by because there's no set time. And they're taking like 45 minutes to get there. So you might miss it, and then you got to wait another 45 minutes. But let's say you get on the songtao. Now you've been standing out for, say, 20 minutes out in the hot sun. Try to stay in the shade. It's still warm. By the time you get there, and then you walk over to the ATM, and then you walk back to 7-Eleven, and you're going to walk into 7-Eleven, you are hot and sweaty. It is that hot. It's not like I'm going for a 4-hour walk and I'm drenched in sweat. No, I've walked 10, 15 minutes out in the blazing sun with no shade, and it's miserable. So anyway, where are we at here? Let's play a little goodbye music. Let's see. Yeah, all right. I got to come up with a theme song. Storm forecast this weekend. Woohoo. Typhoon in the Philippines. Okay, very good. Very nice. All right. I like this little piece here we're listening to. It's pretty nice. Anyway, thank you once again. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Until next time, I am Scott. I am an American in Bangkok. Stay safe. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you whenever I see you, which probably will be Sunday, but then again, it could be tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see.